Right.
Yes, that was a very serious one. What happened? Why?
No, I was trying to, some technical glitch. So
But that's like 8 o'clock. Anyway, it's a
back
little
in
late.
it, back in it.
I mean, 8 o'clock is not so late.
No, not so bad. Not so bad.
But otherwise, work is happening from home.
No, we are back in the office. We've been back in the office for some time.
Okay,
Mm.
so well, that's working for you. That I thought online was such a good concept.
Uh, Not that easy for lawyers, actually. If you're going to do matters online, it's not the same.
No, I think means basically getting used to the fact that you have to look at those documents and the whole process of going through them fast and getting to the right page on time. I think getting the
Yeah,
highlight it and everything. I think those things I think we just have to get used to because I'm quite okay with it.
you are excellent at it.
I'm enjoying it. I can't ask for a better life.
Yeah, you are excellent. So not, but for people who are not tech savvy, I think it's a bit difficult. For the lawyers who come from a different generation from
Yeah.
ours, I think it's a bit difficult for them. They are technically challenged, I would say.
No, it's also I think the fact that reading a document on paper and reading it on screen, it is
Mm.
different. And I mean, I while in my practice right throughout was looking at the documents on screen. So I'm really I'm so used to it. But the people who aren't used to it, definitely paper. They want paper. The whole
Correct.
impact is with paper.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to go paperless, but sometimes when it's a very thick document which you are trying to amend and comment, and sometimes what you see on the screen, you don't see, you're not actually seeing the mistakes because you don't see it. You want to see what you want to see. But when you print it out and you read it, I was like, oh my God, how come I didn't spot this on the screen? But when you read it on paper, you do spot it. Like I think editors and all, you know, they tend to print out to read so that they can actually pick out mistakes.
Yeah, because you've actually grown up like that. I mean, that's the way you've grown up. And I think maybe the next generation who grew up only on devices, for them,
Yes,
I think it might be different.
like the millennials now, they are
Exactly.
so used to it. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, they've really started young. I mean, they got their phones. What age were they? Nothing. I mean,
We never even had those phones at our age.
exactly. No, I'll tell you an interesting part, which I sometimes see that maybe for them, even traveling, this is whole concept that you go to some place and you look at the mountains or the beach. I think for them, they might not appreciate the real situation. They have to take a picture and then appreciate it. They got you so used to the screen that everything is on screen.
And they have to be in the picture too.
That's
So
the way. I mean,
yeah, I mean, you hear of people taking selfies in really treacherous and dangerous spots.
I know. Yeah,
But,
that's.
at the same time, so many people have been killed as well, you know, because they just want to share it on Instagram immediately, to show that, oh, hello, I've been here, you know.
And I'm sure there is that pressure that how many likes did I get, how many this that I get, who
Exactly.
comments.
Yes, yes. I don't even have an Instagram account, by the way.
You'll get one. You'll get one. It'll all
I,
happen.
I refuse to. I refuse to.
Look. I put out posts all over, all over.
You too. Yeah, yeah.
I,
Because yours, it makes sense.
what makes sense? I'm doing it for you. Who am I doing all that for you? All that for?
And you have so many different platforms which you're using, so the word really gets around. That's what you want to do. So
Yeah. I
that
mean,
works
look.
for you. That works
Works.
for you.
I'm telling you for you. Who am I? I'm
For
not
me,
doing for you. For all of you. All of you. All
Instagram,
of you. It's the
yeah,
whole idea is to for people to know they are mediators. I tell you why. Because I was talking to someone quite some time back, and I was telling them about mediation. Now the whole concept of mediation kind of they'd heard somewhere. Now they did not have a mediator in their mind. Who's a mediator? You hear of lawyers, you hear of everything, and who's a mediator? Now putting a face to a mediator, because I was just about started talking to the person, so they said, okay, now I know who a mediator is, so they could put a face to a mediator. So that is why I said that we have to be out there. We have people should see us, know us, because we look as mediators. Definitely, we are all nice people.
That I go with that 100%.
Exactly. So why should the world not know that?
It's true.
Yeah,
Why
it,
not?
exactly.
Yeah,
Because
why
this
not?
is this is really, I'm telling you, it is required for people to put a face to this. And
But I feel that this pandemic has its advantages. Uh, because of the pandemic, I think a lot of people have gone online and
yep,
started posting all this. Did you start this during the COVID
yep, yep,
time?
yep.
Yeah. See, there you go. So I think a lot of people have started using the internet and different platforms like LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, or whatever means they have, different platforms to actually showcase their talent,
Yep.
like you are. And and no, it's true because how many people would actually do what you're doing? And I think it's a wonderful idea to actually get in touch with mediators all around the world
Yep.
in this manner. And I mean, we met online as well. So,
Exactly,
and
exactly.
I'm sure like all the others who you've been having your chats with, you have physically not met them.
Yeah, and actually, maybe we'll not, because there was this person from
Correct.
Canada who sent a message that as a group we should meet at some point of time. I said
Mm-hmm.
this is going to be a very environmentally conscious group. It will only meet online. There is this concept. I don't know whether you've seen that. There's a concept called the Green Pledge for mediators.
Yes.
So I
Yes.
said I have signed the Green Pledge. So it's all going to be online. Look, I tell you, Gunavathi, it was a coincidence actually. This was just before the lockdown. Actually, 2019, late 2019, Singapore Convention had been signed. Now, our
Mm.
Chief Justice of the Supreme Court is someone who obviously is pushing mediation. So I said, now the recognition of mediation will start. Now I can move to it full time, because it was just part of my practice. Now it is, I at that time said full time. Now, I mean, when you are moving to something full time, one is the whole formal aspect of it, that should you get certifications and all that concept. So initially, I thought I should. Luckily, I did not. I mean, just lucky, because those institutions at that time did not have any course running. So today I say I'm lucky because I can tell the world, everyone I say that, look, you have to find those people with the mediator mindset. They know everything. They know how to handle everything. Those, they don't need that theoretical concept of words. They have to be out there doing things. And the numbers we need is so large that you can never go out training them in these small batches. We'll put something out on the playlists on the YouTube channel. They can see that. I mean, the best in the world can put out their videos there. So on those topics, I can. That is the way I was looking at it.
But somehow I'm sorry, I beg to differ there. I feel that training is important if you're really going to conduct a serious mediation. Because, in fact, coincidentally, I am actually doing a research with another co-mediator from another country on mediation training. So we've come up with this questionnaire on what are the requirements for a mediator. And it's such a coincidence that you're raising this now. And I'm not going to send you the questionnaire because I know you're not going to answer
I
the
can have a
question.
look at it. I can have a look at it.
I can't send it to you, but I know your style, so I don't think you would like to fill it up. So that's why I didn't send it to you. But I sent it to some mediators in India and waiting for their feedback as well. But very interestingly, we've analyzed some of our findings, and some of the findings actually show that it varies from country to country. Like in Malaysia, we do not have a regulatory board to a national regulatory board to regulate mediators in the country. I don't know whether you have it in India. Do you?
I hope we never get that. I just hope we never get that. I'm telling you, my whole concept of mediation is so different that this whole thing will finish off the whole concept in one shot. Look, I'll tell you difference. I'll tell you the difference. Difference is that I am looking at mediation as something which has to happen throughout the country, in every corner of the country. We are not talking about towns, we're talking about villages. We are, look, luckily, I don't know whether you know, I've been talking about it a lot, but we have a law called the conciliation. It is
Yes,
part of the Arbitration Conciliation Act, but it's conciliation. Now that conciliation process gives you a settlement agreement. You get a, if you do go through that and get a settlement agreement, that is as good as a consent award, which is as good as recognized as a court decree. So if someone sitting in a village can actually get a court decree sitting there, what better access to justice does he have
of course.
in a country
That
like us? In a country like us,
yes,
and then the
yours.
moment yeah, I'm saying the
Yeah,
moment you
it's a
regulate
huge
it,
country, and of course, not everyone has access to justice, as you said.
exactly,
So that would, of course, in
and
my diction as well, and yours as well, that that is what you call access to
yeah,
justice. But at the same time, I'm just playing the devil's advocate here. What if every Tom, Dick, and Harry were to hold themselves out as a mediator, and they actually do not have the expertise to actually conduct mediation to bridge the gap between two people who
I tell you
are
why this is what I've
unhappy.
been talking about. That look, we have to first of all, we've been talking about this whole peer mediation thing. I'm
Yes,
saying that when you're starting in school and you're not just asking those children to identify, just identify. They are identifying themselves. We are not doing anything for that. That Malaysian group of students, I told you about those.
yes.
They're so now imagine sitting in Malaysia, those few students that I speak to, and I realized that one of them actually it did mediation. Actually, did I tell you that example or not?
No, you didn't.
Okay.
Share with me.
Basically, what happened was the Wafa and Shri they organized a group of students which I could speak to. So I was look, I whole idea was to ask them. So I was just telling them, look, is there someone in your school who actually helps you people maybe resolve some fight? I'm not even using words like dispute or whatever. If you have a fight, you go to someone. What happens? Can you think of someone? This one girl who was there, I mean, such a small group. In that, this one girl tells me that there were these two kids in their class who were fighting about some public speaking competition they had to go to, and they couldn't
Okay.
decide on a topic. So both of them are fighting on that. Now, this girl who was talking to me and another girl, they both went to these two kids and whatever, however they did it, obviously that process they would know what they did. At the end of that, those two kids actually agreed on a topic which she says was part of one person's topic, part of someone the other one's topic. So they agreed on a topic together. They went to that competition. They came second in that competition. So we had a whole example of co-mediation. Those kids benefiting of it. They're actually I mean, settling something out in such a good manner and actually benefiting from actually coming second. They wouldn't have gone for that competition. So this is
Mhm.
such a small group. So I'm saying all this is happening. These kids know how to do it. They don't need any theory. It's just they need recognition within the schools. And
Okay.
once you've identified them, like Gilbert was giving Gilbert also, and then I was speaking to someone else, so they said the same thing, that they should have some kind of an identification in the school, so children themselves can go up to them and they can talk to them. So the whole process of the culture of mediation starts. Then
But do you think that every child would have the skill,
no. The children will identify those with the skills.
like what we discussed during your one of
Yeah,
your
yeah. They identify it. You know, how many numbers do we need? I'm telling you,
right?
like I'm talking about the world situation, and I've been giving this example of the WHO, the doctors thing, that one
Yeah.
doctor per 1,000 people. So are we looking at one per 1,000? I don't know. What do you think? How many do we need per thousand? How many
And
thousand?
it's
Something,
how
just
you
an
cut the
idea.
figure from the
Look,
air.
does every community need one? Do you think every community
Of
needs one,
course, of
one or
course.
two, or how many do they need? Think of some
Yeah.
community around your house, the
Okay, let's
neighborhood.
say my neighborhood. Yeah,
Yeah.
you need at least maybe five,
And how many people are there in that neighborhood?
say about a few hundred,
That's
four
it. You
hundred.
need, imagine that means you need five for a few hundred, and I'm saying only one per thousand if you have. Even
Well,
then, you need 7 million mediators in this world.
exactly. It's not.
So
Where
that's
do
why I'm
we find
saying,
these numbers? Yeah.
and this is how you'll find the numbers. They're already there. So identification happens at the schools, in the communities. Those look. Finally, my whole thing is, how do they get remunerated? I want them to be remunerated also. It's not just identifying them. We want them into the practice. So I am thinking that at the community level, communities should collect money and they should actually have mediators as retainers, the ones they identify. So at least there is some lumps, some amount going to them for basics. So at least they stick to the profession, and then they do other better things with. They do their private mediations also. Plus, they do good in the society. I mean, peacemakers finally.
Yeah, I mean, but in Malaysia, I don't think I can say that mediation is a profession. It's not yet a profession, although it is my dream that one day it would be, because if you're going to term it as a profession, you must get enough work to
Exactly.
do
Exactly.
that. But unfortunately, we haven't. I mean, I started this in 1999. I can still remember very vividly when I did my master's in law, and I took one paper as ADR as one of my papers, and that was a real eye opener for me. And for me, I fell in love with that subject, and I told myself that I wanted to specialize in it. So that was how I inculcated my interest in mediation. And then I started doing research and I started teaching it at the university. And then I created a skills training program for my master's students. And they all loved it. And because mine was like the only practical law paper in the university, whereas the rest is, the normal law paper. Yeah, I mean, you are a lawyer, so you know. So, but this was like exciting for them because I had role plays and it's a different way of teaching. It's a continuous assessment and and they learned different skills which I think everyone should learn, like negotiation skills. We teach them how to talk and how you reframe your sentences so that it's not so caustic or toxic when you speak to people. So these are all living skills which I think all children should learn from at a young age, like going back to your peer
Mediation.
mediation subject. So I think things like this, like living skills, should be taught to children at a very young age, so
Absolutely.
that when they grow up, they actually, it becomes part of them,
Yeah.
instead of trying to teach old dog new tricks, which is not so easy. You see, because I have been teaching this for such a long time, and I've done numerous mediation training workshops. And sometimes the older generation feel that, like, I don't have to learn all these skills, but that's coming back to my training uh,
That's to come
thing,
back to the training.
yeah, coming back to the training, because I found that it was easier to teach these skills to the younger people as opposed to the older generation and the matured generation. So these lawyers are all like senior lawyers, and they want to be mediators, but whether they have the skill is another thing. So when they come for the training, their mindset is, they are thinking like a lawyer. They are not thinking as a mediator like you and I. When they look at a dispute, they look at it like, oh, okay, they become very judgmental.
Yeah.
Who's going to win? Who's going to lose the case? And they rush to a settlement, which is not what we want them to do, because you
Absolutely.
want them to come up with creative ways of resolving the dispute. I just want to share with you a very interesting mediation which I did. And in Malaysia, it's a multicultural scenario here. And I mediated this dispute as a very young mediator at the time when I first started. And this goes back like what, maybe 18 years ago.
Wow.
And yeah, so I've been a mediator for 22 years actually.
Okay.
So anyway, so coming back to this story of mine, it was very interesting because this was a Hindu couple who have who got married, and they have three children. So two boys and one girl. So they went their separate ways because the husband converted to Islam. And as soon as he converted to Islam, he also took the two boys, of course, leaving the girl behind with the mother. And he took the two boys, and the younger boy was actually a burnt victim. So this child had to wear a special suit every day because he couldn't go out in the sun. When he's exposed to the sun, the skin can't take it. So he had to wear this special suit. So it was not easy. It was not going to be easy looking after this child. Yet he took the boy, the younger boy. So when they came for mediation before me, there were no lawyers. Actually, I know both the lawyers who referred the matter to me, the dispute to me, and they said, Guna, please try and settle this for us. But we do not want to attend the mediation because it's a very touchy-feely, sensitive, religious issues are very, very sensitive. So I said, okay, I took up the challenge. And during the mediation, in the course of the mediation, I realized that the husband was very adamant in not wanting to give visitation rights to the mother. And the children were still very small, and 10 and 7 or something like that. And very strangely, the father just refused, plainly just refused to grant visitation rights. And the mother was going on and on that she's the mother of the child and she has to see the children at least once a week, etc. Finally, the man refused to give in. I had a private session with the man and the lady, and the man finally revealed that actually he was going to get married again, and he wanted to look good with the other woman, and he decided to like shut off the kids from the birth mother. So in when I had the private session with the lady, she said that like she's been deprived of her children and she just wants visitation rights. So when they came back to the joint session, so I knew what their underlying interests were. You know, they actually wanted the best for the children, I guess. But very oddly, when they came back to the joint session, suddenly the man tells me, okay, I don't want the kids anymore. The mother can take the children back. I was shocked. And then the mother says, I don't want the children. You have converted the children to the Muslim faith. I can't look after the children. I don't know how to bring up the children in the Muslim religion, and I don't want the children. So I had to, I mean, as a mediator, I'm not supposed to give advice. So I told them that, look, you know, if both of you don't want the children now, what's going to happen to the kids? They're going to end up in a welfare home. Is that what you want for your children? And of course, both of them looked at me and I said, look, I think the man had to go back to the religious authorities, because in Malaysia, we have the religious authorities where they can go and consult. And I said, I think you ought to go and consult them and come back to me in 3 days' time. So they agreed. They came back, and of course, the man again said that, okay, I'll keep the children now. I don't want my children to go to the welfare home. And similarly, the wife said, again, I can't look after, but I still want them to come and visit me. So this was going on and on and on. And so finally, I asked the man, why is it that you do not want the children to visit the mother? It's not, she does not want to convert them back to Hinduism. They will still remain as Muslim children. But what is the stumbling block? So finally, he tells me that, look, when they go and visit the mother, they will not be eating halal food, because they in the Muslim religion, of course, the pots and pans and what you cook at home and what pots and pans you use were very important to ensure that the children were only fed with halal food. So the creative solution was for the mother to buy new pots and pans, and when the children came over, to use those pots and pans to cook for the children. So it was such a I did it pro bono for the parties. I just wanted to resolve this issue. And this is a very real problem in this country, because there have been so many cases. I mean, I managed to settle it. It was such a joy, and I felt so relieved and satisfied. And that is the beauty of being a mediator. For me, that is what makes the mediator.
The satisfaction that you get is amazing. Yeah.
Correct. So, you know, that was really, but not many people have that paradigm mindset shift, which a mediator ought to have. Because as lawyers, you think differently. And lawyers would say, okay, let's litigate this. And very sadly, this issue in Malaysia is a very real problem. There have been so many cases which have been litigated in courts, and it's gone up all the way to the federal court as well, which is the highest court in this land. And you see, and it's always the Hindus who have, the one party is a Hindu, and then he converts to Islam and take the children. And there's this lady who is still waiting to be reunited with her child, whom the husband had taken more than 10 years ago, and she has not seen the child till today, although the court order is in her favor that the man return the child to the mother, but she has not seen the child till today.
That's really
So,
sad. Yeah. I mean, just in general, taking the child away from a mother by itself is a serious thing, because that's a
correct.
connection that I mean, it's a different connection altogether.
Yes. And it's so sad because the children are at such a young age, and they've lost their mother,
I
you
know.
know.
And
It's
that's
so
one thing
sad.
that, like I said, that's one connection that it's a different level altogether. I mean, to be able to do that. But the only thing
Yeah.
is, I didn't interrupt you while you were talking. Normally, I do, but
I
I
know, I
didn't.
know. Yeah,
I
but
was,
this was something
no,
so real
yeah,
and so
exactly,
close to my
exactly.
heart, you
No,
know?
because I was going back to when you were saying you were teaching, then you were
Yes,
all these kids. Did you ever yourself see some who were actually natural in their whole, in terms of their mindset? And
def-
you did,
definitely,
you did.
Vikram.
So
I did.
those are the ones.
Yeah, I have identified because mine are postgraduate students because I was teaching the LLM, and I actually identified so many of them, and I do keep in touch with my students, and they consult me on and off, and if I have workshops, I even rope them in because I've identified the good ones who
Exactly.
have a mediator mindset, as you would
Yes,
predict.
yes, yes.
And I have identified so many of them. And the thing is, they're all so interested in mediation, yet they're out there practicing law.
That's the
But
problem. That's the
that
biggest problem. That,
exactly.
which is
But
what, and look, I'm telling you, this is what I'm working on. Look, one is obviously communities need them, but it is a balance. I mean, you have to find the right ones. The point is that the people whom you identify, which the community will do on its own, if you can identify the right ones, only then the process works further. Is not
correct,
just that, okay, every community must have a mediator. It won't work that way. So they have to identify, but they should be, like I said, they have to be remunerated. And that is one thing that for some reason mediation and free are for some reason connected. Why does that
correct.
happen? Why has that happened? I don't know why they feel mediators should just do their work. When pro bono, they're such nice people, just call them in.
I just share with you something which happened a few days ago. Actually, I uh, the government has set up a COVID-19 mediation center, and actually it's a brilliant idea actually for all COVID cases, and because the COVID Act is came into force last year, and after that, there's certain provisions in the Act which actually suspends obligations by parties, for instance, landlord and tenant, for the tenant to pay, and for construction disputes, everything is suspended. You can't commence a bankruptcy action, until they've extended it to 30th of June this year. You cannot commence winding up proceedings. All this is suspended. So you also have a mediation center. But sadly, I mean, it's supposed to have taken off in a big way because, one would have imagined that there were a lot of disputes which have sprung up during the COVID initial lockdown all over the world, isn't it?
Yep.
But somehow, there are not many cases being referred, although there have been a lot of publicity, and and the government is actually very good here because what they've done is they've they're giving it out for free for certain category uh, uh, takers. For instance, the small SMEs, the small medium enterprise businessmen. Yet you don't see a big
I'm, t- I'm telling you,
rush
this
to
is,
go and use
yeah,
it.
this is where the problem is, because the value of mediation will only be there if there is a price to be paid. Look, you
I
also, I also,
totally agree.
we've always given free advice to people
Yes,
in our profession. That I'm
correct.
telling you is never valued. The one that you give for free is like, okay, let's hear the person out, but okay, we might not follow it. But the one that the person pays for, definitely they follow. So I think we have to first of all disconnect this free and mediation. Even the court system, let me look at the court system here. I keep talking about here. The fact is that a mediator in the court annexed mediation center, maybe guess what, maybe in terms of dollars, let's look at it, maybe about $15 per session. $15. What is it? What is $15? $15. I mean, how do you even do it? And when you have the senior counsels in that same court getting
Correct.
$10,000 a hearing, so
Yes.
there's a mismatch, total mismatch.
But why do you think people have this
No, I tell you, because
misconception?
because mediation has been promoted in countries through the courts. Now the courts, the priority of the courts, there is all they
Correct.
want is that the backlog should be cleared. Their focus is there. They are not developing the profession, and they're
It's the
actually, it's going against the
exact
developing the profession.
same thing here. It's exactly the
This is,
same.
and I'm telling you, this is happening all over the world. The point
Yes.
is that finally we have to ourselves develop the profession, not expecting anyone else to do it for you. It has to be by us. So
Believe me, some of us here, I speak for myself and some of my close friends who are mediators here. We have tried, Vikram. We've tried for more than 20 years. Like, I'm, of course, the pioneer batch of mediators in this country. And I have some of my friends who share my view as well. We've tried so hard to actually get people to accept us as a profession and to utilize our skill, but yet they won't. They rather go to the courts because it's free,
yes,
and
exactly,
and not use the private mediators because they have to pay us a minimal sum. But
exactly.
when they go for arbitration, it's a totally different ballgame. They pay the mediators, the arbitrators, anything between 5 to 10,000 a day,
Exactly.
ringgit, but they would never pay such an amount for me for a mediator.
That's exactly because I'm telling you, the value will be created when either the whole concept of mediation just being a process that you have to go through because the court has sent it there. So it's like in a way being forced into something which you don't see the value,
But is,
because
is it mandatory in India?
so how it works is that basically the court has to send out certain matters out. Basically we have, under the civil procedure code, we have a process of ADR. They have various options there, and
Okay.
the Supreme Court in one of its decisions laid down what are the matters which have to go. Said the courts have to send out, at what stage they have to be sent out. Like family matters should be sent out in the first instance. The others when the pleadings are complete. But in
Mm,
that there are options. So one option is mediation under with the court annex mediation centers. The other option is conciliation under the act that I'm talking about, which means it's a
oh,
private. It's like private mediation. It can go there also. That is an option. So what I'm looking at is that finally there will be okay, the conversations have to happen, but I am working in terms of the work from the larger companies to take out matters. Let them send out matters that those get resolved. So the culture from their perspective that it works, they will, so it has to start with people, like I said, getting decent money on it. If
mm,
someone has to move out of any profession, I'm not saying only lawyers have to become mediators, but if they have to move out and develop a profession, you can't tell a person that only because you're a mediator so you should have basics. It don't work that way. So there has to be some kind of a, I mean, okay, might be little mismatch. Might be little mismatch, but because people have such a mindset, they might still go for it. But you can't tell them that you will get nothing, and just because you are a nice person, you should still do your work. So the whole court concept is working on that. People, I think they just basically, okay, let's just do it because maybe it's been referred, so we'll just sit in a session. So I mean, what has happened in our, say, in the High Court here, they've actually gone and spoken about pre-litigation mediation. First of all, I don't like the word pre-litigation. It means you've already thought of litigation. Now it's
God,
pre that. I'm not,
I
the
agree.
word litigation should not first of all be associated, but they've gone and called it that, which I think is called in various parts of the world. So there, even if the matter is not in the court, nothing. So becomes private mediation. And you'd be
Ah,
amazed. They're talking about $10, less than $10 a session. What
oh
are you
my
going to
God.
do? I mean, you want to finish off the
What is
profession
$10?
totally.
What can you
Yeah,
buy with $10?
exactly. And it's actually less than $10 for a session. Can
Might as
you?
well be free.
That's exactly what I'm
Might
saying.
as well
So
be free.
what are you going to do to the profession? Either there is a vested interest to finish off the profession. So come up front and do that. Say, tell us that, look, we don't want mediation to develop in the country. So that's
Uh,
one.
initially there was a lot of resistance, but now everybody wants to jump into the bandwagon. But by conducting training after training after training, but there are no
That's it.
takers. What's the point of training people when
No,
there are no
but
takers?
look, this is where the whole concept of the chicken and eggs will happen.
It
That
is a chicken and egg,
yeah,
yes.
look, how I'm looking at it is that you have to, of course, find the right people, because the user experience has to be good. That you have no doubt about it. The user experience has
Yeah.
to be good. Otherwise, it doesn't carry forward, because one person will tell at least, maybe let's just say at least 20, 30, maybe 50 people, maybe 100 people if they have a good experience. And they'll tell 1,000 people if they have a bad experience.
Yeah, that will get even
So, so,
more
so I,
exposure.
so
But
identifying the
but
right people.
but do
And look, yeah,
you think that lawyers? I mean, I'm just thinking out loud because initially when we started here, I thought that lawyers were a stumbling block to mediation actually progressing because they felt that oh, my livelihood is going to be affected, my rice bowl is going to be affected, because if all cases are going to be mediated, then it deprives us of the opportunity of going to court and charging our clients big bucks.
yeah, actually.
So
So
you
that's what
see,
I'm saying. We don't know what is happening in people's mind, but the fact that the profession could have developed if all these things did not happen, like I'm saying, in terms of pre-litigation mediation, a high
eh,
court is doing. If that means, is there a vested interest there? What
what
is the situation? That
what
then
does it even mean? What does it even mean?
that's what I'm saying. No, they could not have called it private mediation because, oh, we are now getting into private mediation also. It is private mediation, nothing else. It is that. But
No,
pre-litigation,
but do they allow private mediators to mediate in the courts in India?
this is what I'm saying. This is what the private, what
This
else
is
is
the
pre.
pre-litig. Oh, I see. We
So
don't have such a.
they
We
should
don't have
not
such an.
have. They should not have. They just, I'm telling you, going to finish the profession. That's the, if that is the attempt, then is a very, very good way of going about it. But how I'm looking at it, and my discussions and whatever the clients that I talk to, the fact that I think they've understood that maybe the lawyers are an issue. According to me, they've understood that. And
I think
now
so.
they will come to you directly. You will have whatever you will do with them directly, which means also that maybe lawyers to be mediators will also happen. They would want a lawyer, but they might not want their lawyers. So that will be a good starting point. I don't want that to be the norm. We want people from all professions to come in, and they will. But I'm saying, in terms of anything which has like finance related, chartered accountants can easily do it. But the chartered
Yes,
accountants also have the same issue, the same way that
it's
you are
all the
looking at
same.
lawyers. They all have
Even
the same issue.
doctors can mediate their
Exactly.
own disputes, like all these medical negligence disputes.
It's a
They
major
can
thing.
mediate them.
Yeah.
And even like construction disputes, for instance,
Yeah.
you can have an architect or an engineer
Exactly.
mediating the dispute because they are familiar with the technical terms.
Exactly. But
But
no, moving, one is the person understands and has the mindset. Now, moving them out of their profession is the main thing. Because I'm telling you, this one-off thing is not going to work. So you have to create the culture. So I am saying, I'm on one end, that's why hitting the aspect of developing the culture. Look, it might not happen in a day, it won't happen in a year maybe, but if that whole chunk, that's why I've been talking to you about, you saying your peer mediation, it is our peer mediation. If I look at it from our, this is our, for our interest, if those, that chunk of kids, when they come into workplaces and having been exposed to
mm,
this, they know
I
this
agree.
concept works, and there is a concept like this, that when they come in, definitely that work will develop. They will need mediators also, because they
True.
want, the one is, they, the ones that they identify themselves will take it up. and they will, those people who have been identified will get a chance in the communities to be mediators. So I think that is why I'm saying it is good for all of us if that happens at the base level. And on the other end, on the commercial part, because commercial mediation will also give good remuneration to mediators. So I've been pushing this whole concept that every contract, whenever it is signed, a mediator should be called in. But again, who are these people? I mean, we have to find those people. That is why one at one end identifying, it has to be a balance. I would not want that the user experience at any point is bad. So this whole thing about people getting trained and having those stamps on them, that's not worked out. I know people all over the world, they don't have work. They have all the stamps in the world. They've all got
Mm.
their accreditations and certifications.
Yes,
So
but
that there
no
has been,
work.
yeah, because the fundamental issue of developing the concept of mediation never happened, because it just went to this whole, that's why I have this problem with this whole training thing. Look, a person, there is a lot of information available online. If the person has to really has the interest, those playlists that I make, you can easily go and watch that. People can watch it. They will, if they have the mindset, they will pick up what they have to pick up. But where are these people? How do we get to them? That is what you have to tell me.
Yeah, because the of course you are going about it the right way, which is tackling the younger generation, peer mediation, coming back to peer mediation. Of course, if you can identify the students who have this inherent skills, then of course, over time, they will, inculcate the skills and become excellent mediators when they grow up.
Exactly.
But the thing is, who is actually going out there to identify this kids?
Those kids will do the, that's what I'm saying, the kids will do the identification. But look, that is one part, only one part of it. That is one part. The other is the conversations that we have to have all the
Yeah.
time, everywhere. Look, I mean, on Monday I did this. There was this person from Mauritius. He's a very enthusiastic guy. He organizes these webinars under what he calls the giving back series. So he has all kinds of topics and everything. So I told him I'm going to speak on developing a culture of mediation. That's it. So that conversation is not to children. These are all professionals, and most of them from the construction industry. But the fact is, it doesn't matter what industry you are in. The kind of response that we got, feedback that he sent me, the people actually want that. So according to me, that whole need to develop a culture of mediation is sitting there. The people by themselves would want peace. No one wants to fight, but they are pushed into, like he was saying, the construction industry. It is very adversarial. So if a person is thrown into that industry, his mindset in that workplace will become that. But he's not like that. If he has an option, he will take that option. But how does he get that option when the entire industry works in a certain way? So where do you break it? So you have the conversations, and these conversations have to happen all over the world. Everyone has to just, whenever all mediators have to start talking to people on this aspect. What is happening is, everywhere you see, people are talking about what is mediation, how you do mediation, all these issues. That is, there's so much material on that. I mean, if you go to my
Correct.
website, on my YouTube channel, on the playlist, I think, I don't know how many hundreds of, maybe, I don't know, maybe it might be thousand, that many hours of material is lying there. So I don't think we need more conversations on that aspect. Now we
Mm.
just have to, how do we develop the concept? Look, first of all, total misconception on what mediation is. I don't think people know that there can be a concept where the third person doesn't take a decision for you. I think
Correct.
that concept is not hitting people. How does a dispute resolution work when no, the other person is not deciding for you? So that has to be totally understood. Educate.
And, and also whether our culture actually accepts, because the Western
Yeah.
culture is different from the Eastern culture, right? So like the Eastern culture, I think I don't know. I think they like people to make decisions for them because they're so used to people making decisions for
Right.
them.
No, this
So
is, I
they
don't,
just cannot comprehend this concept
that they are
where the
taking decisions.
mediator doesn't make any decision for them. Say, oh,
Yeah.
you're not making any decision for me. And they keep looking at you. And we're not supposed to suggest any solutions. But yet,
You are
they,
not supposed to. We can
yeah,
suggest that. We can suggest the solution. We
but
suggest.
they still want us to suggest the solutions.
We suggest. We suggest because our law even accepts that. Our conciliation, if you look at that
Oh,
act, actually says
yeah,
that they.
we don't have conciliation. So
Okay.
ours is
No,
Yeah, it's
does your law mediation act actually limit the aspect? Does it limit the mediator from making
our
suggestions?
mediation act is a very simple act. And it's very close to my heart because I was involved in the drafting of the act.
Very nice.
So, of course, when I drafted it, we included so many things in the act, and but somehow it was not. It was all whittled down,
Very nice.
and
Very nice.
and
We must congratulate the government for that.
yeah,
And the parliament.
I was so upset when I saw the end result of it. I was like, all the hard work has gone to naught.
Oh,
It's
I'm
come to
so
naught.
happy. I'm so happy that happened. I'm so happy that happened.
And the worst part is, there were provisions on making it making enforcing the judgments. Like what the Singapore Convention is all about is about enforcing mediated settlement agreements, which was there and it was removed. So there's no force of law. So everybody says, oh, okay, so after I enter into a settlement agreement, what happens? So is it, of course, it's binding. It's binding. Is it binding like a contract? So what if one party reneges on the contract? What happens? So you have to start from scratch again, file a suit, and go and enforce that. So there's no enforcement. So
But
because of
why was it
that,
taken off? Why was that not accepted?
I have no clue. I do not know why that was taken up. But
No,
that was a very
is it? I
pertinent.
think no. Is it because finally, look, finally the judiciary also gets involved. Their suggestions are also taken. Is it that the judiciary is
I,
insecure that a court decree comes from
no, but
private parties?
that decision is not made by the judiciary.
No, no, look, in our case, I'm telling you that mediation bill is being drafted. A committee
Mm,
was formed by the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, and they gave their recommendations. Now, imagine a committee set up by the Supreme Court Chief Justice. Their recommendations going to the government will have some value in terms of some,
of course.
which is good or bad. I don't know, because the fact is the judiciary insecure? I'm telling you, in our case, conciliation is so good. Our law, according to me, is the best. You do not want if mediation is a word used, mediation and conciliation are both words used in the Arbitration and Conciliation Act. And
Mm,
under the arbitration section, that it is the duty of the arbitrator to see whether the dispute can be resolved through mediation or conciliation or any other means. So those two words are lying there. And those two words,
excellent.
according to me, have a role to play, because if you don't want to come under conciliation, which means our conciliation protects confidentiality, protects without prejudice. Both of them
Same
are
here.
protected. So now,
Mm,
if those are, you don't want that, and you don't want a settlement agreement which is as good as a court decree, you can always do mediation, which is not protected. Well, if you want protection, you have the option. So you have both the options in front of you.
we don't have such options here,
Yeah. So, so
unfortunately.
I'm saying that, the aspect of regulating mediation, as they call it, by itself is an issue, because the aspect of informal concept, party self-determination, all those things, if you want to take away, in ultimately, then your courts have not been successful. You have not been able to put the right number of judges there. You have such a backlog. People's lives are affected. I mean,
Correct.
40 million cases is not a small, it's not a joke. We
Wow.
sort of go so used to saying it that it doesn't maybe sound like a big figure for people. 40 million cases. I mean, you've done a bad job there, and then you want to take away the basic thing which can, at some point of time, like I said, give a court decree to people that enforces, if the whole thing that you're saying, that if it's a contract and the suit and everything, then you're back to the court. Now, what use is it for
Yes.
the person? You've done
What's the
nothing
point?
really. So that
Yeah.
is why we've got a very good law lying there, and lawyers are going out and telling people that there is no law on mediation. Yes, it is. No, it's not called mediation, it's called conciliation. Please read. That is why I'm very happy that the Singapore Convention has actually defined it in very broad terms. It is
Correct.
saying,
It's good.
whatever the name might be, the only criteria that has to be looked at is that the third person doesn't have the authority to give a decision, or it doesn't have it are not controlling your settlement agreement in any way. That's all. Everything, whatever name, whatever process, whatever thing you want to call it. So I think that way, the broad concept, people should understand that you have a law in our country. I'm saying, I'm in our country. You also have a law, but you're saying it did not get teeth. That's the only problem,
Yes. Yes. It's there, but it's not there. So,
which is
but
sad, which is
we,
very
we
sad.
are we are we are working on amending the act actually, because if we were to ratify the Singapore Convention, then we need to amend our act before we can ratify the
No, I'll tell you the
convention.
problem that might take place. I don't know whether it'll happen. Maybe they'll say only for the international commercial mediation we will give you teeth. We won't give it for domestic. Who knows? Because
Yeah, we never know. Yeah, yeah.
Under the
Could
Singapore
be.
Convention, the only requirement is that you ratify it in terms of the international commercial mediation. That the
Yes.
domestic one is only something because the discussion has started. Hopefully all the government or all the governments will look at that. I'm sure they will look at it, but
Yeah.
I'm saying that if they don't want to in some way look at the domestic mediation to get some teeth, there can be issues there. Well, I'm still saying, look, I'm to forget the fact that you're talking about the law getting teeth. Our law has the teeth. It has everything going for it. But I will show you interviews of lawyers saying we don't have a law on mediation.
Mm, mm.
The
That's bad. That's bad. That
25 years, 25 years. Conciliation was the UNCITRAL used the word conciliation at 25 years back.
so sad that until today, after 25 years, they're still not aware of it, or they
Exactly.
don't want to be aware of it.
Yeah,
They
that's
don't
what I'm
want to be
saying.
aware.
That's what that is where the problem is. So in a way, you are going to look if you really push, like you were saying, you I don't know what all recommendations you give. The finally, if you make a complex law, you will just whatever little bit that people are now talking about mediation, they will just move away. The mediation will be linked only to courts, and the whole concept of mediation centers there, and maybe some community mediations all centers will also happen. The free word will be associated with mediation. That's ill. That's going to happen.
But
$10, $10. I mean,
yeah,
$10. And no,
ridiculous.
the requirement. Let me tell you, the court annex mediation center for lawyers, the minimum requirement under the civil procedure code is 10 years of experience. It's not that
Oh,
anyone can get there. So
I
10
see.
years
I
of
see.
experience, $10.
What a joke. So
Total joke.
I, it's a joke because yeah, I don't know why it's you've really pinpointed what generally people think of mediation and mediators. They associate it with
Free.
something which is free and we ought not to pay. Why do we have to pay for this? So, similarly, in our country, mediation has not really taken off in a big way because the courts have started and it's free. It's
That's
free
it.
in the courts.
That's it.
So, if you were to go to a private mediator, you have to pay. Of course, it's not much, but they are they are comparing and say, hey, if I were to go to the courts, it's free. Why should I pay for
That's it.
private
That's it.
mediation?
That's what I'm saying. That if today in Delhi, look at Delhi, we have a high court, and if the high court goes and announces this pre-litigation mediation, and
Uh,
the guys think, why should I? I don't. I mean, even the fact that okay, the whole profession hasn't even taken off. The concept hasn't started. Before that itself, you say mediation costs $10 a session. That's what you've told people. Who is ever going to go to a person who charges
correct.
much more than that, and they should charge much more than that.
We
This
should
is
because if arbitrators can charge that much, why can't we? I I
no,
I
we
just
have to
don't understand.
finally we have to be able to look the right people. It doesn't we don't need numbers, large numbers to start with, because to reach large numbers the first thing is to give experience, the exposure and the user experience. So we should I'm just look, I'm working on that, because this is not a short term kind of thing for me
Mm.
or for you. This is going to be a life. There is no concept of a retirement from this or something. This is going to be part of our life for a
Can help people resolve their disputes. Why not?
yeah.
Why not?
That's what I'm saying. This is going to be life. So if even if it takes 5 years to reach that point, I'm okay with it. But at the same time, the courts should understand that just because
Vikram,
they
I've
want
been
to
trying for 20 years.
no, no, we'll change things. We'll change. I'm seeing a change, so I know I can tell you there is a positive aspect of thing which is happening. But only thing is that these are because of conversations, and the conversations only with the people who are going to be users, no one else. We don't. I don't want to even spend. Look, you are still with you work with the government. You look at with the policies and other such things. I'm not part of any such thing. For me, it is totally focused on one end on the user, conversations with the user, the other on the identification of the mediator mindset. These are my focus areas, and the people who I'm identify how to take them through. How do we create a global resource, a pool of mediators which we can use for matters in any part of the world. We don't have we don't have enough in every country, and we don't have work for most of the mediators in anywhere in the world. So we have a pool of just, I mean, look, look, this is going to be, is you have to refine the process. You have to find people and interact with people. It might take a little bit of time, but at least some people I've been able to identify. So if I've been able to identify you as a mediator, is because of interaction with you. That's it. Otherwise, no, it was just, it's not a LinkedIn kind of connection. Okay, there is a
Yeah,
connection and that Malaysia. No, no, don't work that way. It's because of interaction, because we've had those meetings and we discussed whatever the discussion might be. By interaction, people is the only way you get to know whether you want to work with the person. So this
correct.
is what we need to do. Just have conversations, get the like-minded people to get together, and at the same time have look at the little bit. I feel that many of these individual kind of professions, people are a little insecure. So whether they will promote other mediators, that part I have to see, because I am trying to promote me everyone, whatever way, whatever platform I can create for them. I just want people to be out there. People should know them. If you use the person's services, it's just is doing good for the profession.
Yeah,
You
I
should,
agree.
I mean, yeah, if you okay, you might not do something, but there is someone else who talks about, okay, I have this kind of a matter in this part of the world, immediately refer someone if you know someone. So
Yeah,
these conversations and connecting people is what I am doing, but I don't see that kind of reciprocation happening. People want, like, I was someone person who said, I'm a taker, not a giver. So then the whole concept just breaks. I mean, here I'm trying to create
gone.
this whole. I mean, then what is it? Why do you get together? This is not a social activity. This is a professional
Exactly.
connection. So if you want to give and take works,
Yeah.
just
You
taking,
have to
and which is where
complete.
the problem is. Whenever a group of people get together, if you promote each other and you talk to people about things and then cross references, all the referrals and co-mediation maybe, so those are things I haven't seen that kind of a reciprocation happening, which is a bit of an issue for me,
Hmm.
because I think professional collaboration for individual professions, I think there is an insecurity somewhere.
Somehow I think there is an insecurity.
Yeah,
I
and I
think
think,
lawyers themselves are insecure.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. These individual professions, this is
They
what
are very
happens.
insecure because they feel that, why should we go to a mediator?
Yeah.
We can make more money if we were to go to court, and
On the other, in
it
here,
just for the money, and then they said, oh, we should appeal. Even if they don't have a case, they say, oh no, you should appeal. And
so what I notice here is
and
that the fact is that if there is any kind of good matter and any money to be made, that lawyer will take that up also. The lawyers say, I will do everything. You just come to me. I'm mediator, arbitrator,
correct,
conciliator,
I'm everything,
everything.
I'm God.
Yes, yes.
So
I come.
I
So
can do anything for you. I
because
will.
I was telling someone, look, I am now focused totally on being a mediator. First thing, nothing else. First thing, is there money in it? So basically, if there is money in it, I'll also come in. I'll also do this. Everything is focused on that. I will do anything if there's money involved. I'll take it. No problem. I'll come in. So
Yeah,
I think that,
but you see, they don't realize, like the case I narrated to you, there's so many other mediators who can share their success stories with you. And it is not about the money. It's always not about the money. It's that satisfaction. I don't know how many people feel that way, but
no,
for
everyone
me,
feels that. Everyone feels that, and only
yeah.
those people who actually get satisfaction from that are the people, I'm telling you, have the mediator mindset. This is one trait I've noticed, a common trait. I'm telling you, there are certain. Why do I do that evolution of a mediator? That whole
Mhm.
series. There is some common element that will come out from that. There is something there. So that is what we people have to identify themselves. I mean, we don't have to do it for them. Also, they'll identify.
Correct.
But on one end, they have to identify, but other end, they have to know what the process is. Then the legal aspect of it, like enforcement, then
Yeah.
conversations within countries on this aspect that give it teeth. You need that direct. So I'm saying that it's nothing better. I mean, example of India is the best example, and it's put out as we don't have anything. Can you imagine this happening? I'm like amazed when I hear that.
Sad, sad, sad.
So
And
that so
especially when the act has been around for so many years.
exactly. No, I think maybe the fact is maybe people don't even cannot even imagine that we are so far ahead of other parts of the world that they cannot even think, and we were so far ahead.
I don't think we had that foresight. We don't even have that foresight now. So, which India
Right.
had 25 years ago.
And what
Amazing.
did we take from? We took it from the UNCITRAL model law. We took it from there. Today there is a UNCITRAL model on mediation also, but our country is taking it. Are they discussing it? I think because of the, I think the Singapore Convention, at least that discussion is there. I haven't
Mm.
seen the law in the countries that, I mean, Singapore, I saw the law, but other countries who have ratified it, have you
Yeah.
seen that? Have you seen those?
No, but you see, not many countries have an act anyway.
No, the ones who
So
have
many
no,
countries
the ones who
don't
have
even have an act.
no, the ones who have
Mhm.
ratified it
Yeah,
definitely will have. We can see that law as to see what
correct. You
direction
have
it's going
to.
in.
Yeah, then we can see the direction.
But
Then we can.
Fiji, you can have a look at. We can look. I mean, I haven't.
One of the first few to ratify it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So we'll have the law. We have the Fiji law, the Qatar law, in Saudi
Yes.
Arabia. We can actually see that. I haven't seen it actually. Because I know. Look, I know that we have the best law available, so I don't even have to.
You have excellent provisions, like especially your conciliation. You don't need to
Exactly.
go far.
Exactly.
You
So
don't need
that
to
is.
go. Yeah.
But tell me
But
something. This is.
whether people want to use it is another thing.
No, no, we'll get them to use it. No, 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 doing that, so not a problem. Will happen. But my reach is going to be very limited. I can't do how much work then can I do? I have to
Correct.
promote mediation also. I do my professional practice as a mediator also. So I can only do. That's why I want to involve more people. There is so much work out there to be picked up. It's there to be picked up. I'm telling you. That is just the fact of only the fact of the mediation of disputes as such, which are already lying there. Then the whole workplace mediation. There is
Mm,
the whole concept in the US of the ombuds.
yep.
I mean, okay, now this whole politically correct ombuds word, but ombudsman is being used here. I don't know about Malaysia, but here we spoilt the whole concept.
Okay.
We,
Let me share with you what happened here. See, in Malaysia, we never had an ombudsman at all. We never had that concept until not too long ago. And initially, what they were doing is they had the Bankers Mediation Bureau, and then we had the Insurance Mediation Bureau. So these all came under the big umbrella of our central bank. So they had two separate mediation bureaus, but actually they call themselves the Financial Mediation Bureau. The
Mm.
name itself is an oxymoron because they, they were not really doing mediation.
That's
They-
exactly what I was going to come to.
so the
Exactly what I
name,
was going.
it was an oxymoron, if you ask me. So it was very odd because they realized. So when I went to conduct training to them, then I'm like, so tell me what you all actually do during your sessions. And they were actually like, they were actually handing down awards. So
Exactly.
I said, this
Exactly.
is not mediation. And why do you call yourself a mediation bureau? So finally, after much talk and some changes were made, so that has now been dissolved, and they have all come under the big umbrella of the central bank again. And now they have the concept of ombudsman after they amended an act, and now they have the Financial Services Act. And so the ombudsman come under the purview of the
No, but
central bank.
are they doing a mediation? Because in our
I,
case, our banking
I
ombudsman.
don't think so. I think it's still
Yeah, because
the same
that's
thing.
what's happening here. Our insurance
Not
ombudsman or the
mediation.
banking ombudsman, they will
It's
no, no. The concept is we will try and help get the parties to settle it themselves. But if they
yes.
don't, we'll pass the award. So where is the whole concept of mediation that no, this is where the name gets spoiled. Today,
Same thing.
if I talk to people in the corporate world about ombudsman, that there is this concept, and in your organization you should have it. The first connection of ombudsman is with these banking ombudsman and all, which actually they pass an award. Then the whole concept goes for a six, because
Yes.
I want to promote that in workplaces. I want workplaces to have a ombuds. I mean, we'll have to call it maybe someone. We'll have to call it a resident mediator, whatever it might be.
If not ombudsman,
Yeah,
whatever.
no, the point in the I'm here we have to create work for people, but for the
Yeah.
right people. So ombuds, well, let's, if you don't call it that, a resident mediator, one resident mediator, every organization can have. They don't have to have a full-time one. One
Mm.
person can handle a number of organizations. We're not saying that so much work is coming out. If so much work comes out, they can have one dedicated one also. So we have that. We have every contract, there should be someone sitting there as a mediator. Every project should have a mediator. So there is so much work even without disputes. When the
True.
dispute comes, there should be someone before it reaches, escalates. I am saying go down to prevent disputes. That is the ideal way to go about it. And if a person, a third party neutral, is actually sitting there as part of organizations, is totally entrenched in the organization in terms of the communication and everything, they can prevent disputes, maybe even preempt disputes.
They have that for construction disputes in other countries.
Yeah.
It's called the preventive. So it's prevented from taking place. The dispute is prevented from taking place. So
But I think, but in the construction industry, there is also a concept that the person is there available. I don't know whether how much they try and settle it, but the person can give actually a award uh, for that temporary period, so
oh,
the project goes on.
that's adjudication, which
Yes.
we have in
Yeah.
Malaysia. So the person is known as an adjudicator,
Adjudicator. Yeah.
but that is basically to cater for quick resolutions
Yeah.
for ongoing projects. Because if it's a project which is going to take years, so dispute between a main contractor and the subcontractor, then if there's a dispute with regards to payment, then they go to adjudication.
No, that's what I'm saying. This is the only thing that I have heard in the construction industry.
And
Not,
adjudicators are also paid very highly.
yeah, they should. Everyone should be paid.
They're paid
No,
very highly.
no, but I haven't heard of a mediator being part of those projects. I haven't seen that there is a.
No,
That is what
no.
I'm saying. That if a look at when you're drafting that contract, this mediator is part of it. That mediator continues as part of the project, because first of all, the person has actually understood the entire process. Because the point is, at the drafting of the contract stage, you should have operations people, finance people, legal people, everyone involved in the drafting. So if this
Mm,
person has
mm,
interacted with all of them and has been able to understand the entire process, and so going forward, it will not take that person time to understand what's happening and what resolution can happen. So you've got a third person who's actually not an employee of anyone. It's a private person. So the person continues. It's not that the suddenly, oh, this guy left his job, now he's gone, now we have to find someone else. So the continuity stays, and that is very important in projects. For
mm.
every project,
So big projects.
and yeah, it's not going to happen. I mean, some of them take years to implement. So I think
True.
that is one area, another area. So I think we just have to find these areas and start talking about it, at the same time identifying people. No, but the important thing, Gunavathi, is that this photograph at the back, where did you get this photograph at the back? This virtual background that you have.
Oh, that's my office.
But how you Ratanlal, Dheeraj Lal and all you reading, huh?
Sorry?
The Ratanlal, Dheeraj Lal on Indian
Oh,
Penal Code and
criminal
all.
law books. It's actually my partner's books.
Because this is
So
all
we,
Indian. Yeah, this is all Indian books.
yes, and because our
It's the
criminal
same penal
procedure
code is
code
the
and our
same.
penal
Yeah,
code, yeah,
yeah.
is in pari materia. So
And
that's
it
why
that's
we
what I'm
use a
saying.
lot of Indian books.
Basically, as a colony, our Indian Penal Code is still called the Indian Penal Code 1860. I don't know what yours is called. What year is yours?
Penal code, I can't remember. I don't do criminal law, but
1860. I mean, can you imagine
wow.
that law continues? Singapore also has the penal code as what was given by the British. This
Yeah,
is
it's same. It's the same. Yeah. So, we all follow, we all in the Commonwealth, right? So
yeah. But
we
imagine
all,
that no one wants to change that, because it benefits. Look, as a colony, you could control with this act, you could control the colony. So no one, the next you might become independent, but no one wants to lose that control. So
true.
the civil procedure code of that time, our penal code, everything
All the
continues.
same. Yeah. Yeah.
But
And then, but of course, in India, you have excellent judgments by all your excellent judges.
I don't know. That's the thing. The judgments that come out, I mean, I don't know. Look, over time, that also has kind of changed. But the fact is that those people give good judgments, and we want them to have more time to give better judgments and more of them, which is
True.
where the problem lies with the backlog. That should not get affected, because look, it's Supreme Court judgment. I don't know about Malaysia, but our Supreme Court judgment is law. That's what the Constitution provides. So
Mm,
if someone is giving in a Supreme Court is giving a judgment, they have to have enough time to be able to give it, because it's law. So it's not as frivolous as just a judgment for that particular case.
mm.
It's a law for the country. So I think that part of it, in terms of the backlog, is a problem.
I mean, it
But
used to be a problem here, but now actually our courts are very quick in giving hearing dates and trial dates. But with COVID and all, So there's another backlog now because of
But the
COVID.
surprising part is that I never talk about the court system. But now the only thing I'm talking about is the court system. I'm telling you, I don't even have conversations on it because for me, that whole is like another world.
It
That
is, it is.
and I'm trying to tell myself that world doesn't exist. It is
You have
just there. They
you have
have their own.
extricated yourself from that world.
Totally. I just
Now,
feel that
now,
by talking about it, because when you talk about it, I'll get into the whole court annex mediation centers. Then that whole
yeah,
discussion will go in that direction. And the whole private mediation thing that we are trying to develop, we have not been
yeah.
able to look at that part. How are we going to do it? Please give some suggestions. What else do I need to do? Because you don't have time. You're such a busy
You are
person.
doing an excellent job, because you're doing this full time. Like whereas for me, I mean, I still have my practice, and also it is
I
difficult
have my
to
practice also. I have my practice, but I have to balance it out.
yeah, you have to balance it. But
Yeah.
of course, any opportunity I have, even if clients come by, I do suggest mediation to them. But and they're like so shocked, oh, do we have such a thing? So we've been trying to promote it, but still we have not been able to reach the
Actually,
numbers.
what you should maybe what because that part of it up till now in terms of communities, that conversation I haven't started yet, which I'm going to do now. That as small groups, look, large groups, the problem is no one really understands what's happening. They
Mm,
listen, they're part of the webinar, and then they walk off, and they
correct.
still go back with the same thing. Okay, mediator decides. I know I was seeing an interview of a Supreme Court trained and a Supreme Court mediator. He gave an interview saying the mediator will decide. So if that training also happened, the person is a mediator. What are they doing in that room with the
Mm,
parties? The
yeah,
whole so I'm just saying that from our side, the fact is it has to be smaller groups,
I
and we
think that's
should yeah,
manageable, something
yeah,
manageable.
yeah, and whatever questions people have, they get answered right there, rather
Mm.
than you giving a lecture,
It's
because I
true.
don't
You can't reach out to so many people at the same time.
you can't.
It's impossible. And as you said, people after a while they get bored because they're not following, so they just leave.
Yeah,
So
it has
similarly,
to be
like a
very
webinar,
interactive. It has to be very interactive.
yeah, like a webinar, if it's too long, people get bored.
Like that's
So
one that I had right now, which I said this person from Mauritius had organized. It went on.
mhm,
Look, you with me, these things never are never short. So that went on for 2.5 hours. But hopefully, people picked up something from it because it was more on the culture of mediation.
mm,
But according to me, I think it's like this mediation open house that I have. That one I set that date and time that you
yeah,
just come in without registration. You just click the link and come. The whole idea was that just just ask if you have any misconceptions. They should be cleared
but
rather
how
than
was the response so far?
largely only mediators lined up.
Mm.
Because how does it reach other people? I'll have to start. Like I said, I have to start those conversations now.
See, the thing is, okay, then maybe you can ask for assistance from mediators to share your post and your link with people from different professions, not
Exactly,
only
exactly.
lawyers.
This
Yeah,
is
because if we send it out to maybe, the people in the business community, or then they have an opportunity. Otherwise,
no,
it's
that
going
is
to
why.
be,
No, that is why this. But look, my problem is I don't have that much time to have that. This one, the one on Monday was with the construct. Largely, I said construction industry people, because the Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors, the
okay.
person from Mauritius is a fellow there, and he obviously has that network. So they were, I think, most of them were there, those people. So this was another industry. So this is you're right on that. It has to be people from other industries.
Yes,
So it has to be chambers of commerce, could be,
correct.
but and other end, I also want communities also that
Communities would be good. I mean, if you can reach out to these communities, like, and the other one is doctors,
yeah,
actually, doctors.
but
Yeah,
only
I mean, I have gone to hospitals to give talks on mediation, and how effective it is for medical negligence disputes to be mediated, because sometimes it's when, like, let's say someone dies while giving birth, yeah, and it's not easy for the husband to undergo whatever he has undergone. I mean, he has undergone a lot of suffering and mental trauma and all that. So when this kind of matters are litigated, I don't think they want to relive this entire thing.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, and the other thing is seeking an apology from the doctor. Sometimes what they want to hear is, "I'm really sorry about your wife.
They don't want
And I'm
arrogance.
really
Yeah, they don't want
sorry.
arrogance there. Yeah.
Exactly. But most of the time, it is the insurance companies who come to litigation, to litigate. And even when for mediation, they don't come. The doctors don't come. It is the insurance company who comes, and or the hospital, because most of these consultants, they are
With the hospitals. Yeah.
independent contractors. Yes. So they are not employees of the hospital. So sometimes it's good to hear it from the horse's mouth. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah,
Absolutely.
and that's why they have this restorative justice concept.
Yeah. That's a
Yes,
whole area by itself. Yeah.
yes, and that is a very interesting area as well. You know,
Totally. That
for
I've been actually Lisa does a lot of work there. So I've been having some discussions with her on that. We were discussing this aspect about how this works, because finally what happens is that the victim, even I was even saying even the complainant, they're not part of the process. They just, I mean, okay, you've done it. You've given your complaint, or you've whatever you had to file. You did that, and now you've just moved away from that process.
mm,
So I think that way, those involvement of all that is definitely necessary. But this whole thing, a hospital, every hospital having a resident mediator is also important.
yes, I think it's excellent because it's not only for negligence cases; it's also for billing.
Yeah,
Let's say you have a dispute
yeah,
about a bill. So I think like maybe the HR staff, going back to workplace mediation, I think the HR staff can be trained as mediators to deal with all these disputes
no,
with between patients and the hospital about their billing, etc. So there are so many different areas which you
no.
can
I,
look at.
I am look. I am saying the HR has to be kept totally separate. Even this ombuds concept is that the hierarchy of the organization you should not get into. This has to be a totally an independent person,
But what I'm
totally
saying is
independent.
have a mediator in the
Yes, as a resident mediator separately,
in their
and
organization,
the
so that if
person
there's any dispute,
independent, but
then
independent. No, Gunavathi has to be independent.
of
The person
course,
has to be
because
totally
if
independent. And
yeah,
no, the whole ombuds concept is that the person is working totally independently.
yeah,
It's not part of the hierarchy of the organization at all. Obviously, in their case, they report in terms of whatever suggestions, reports they have to give. Everything's confidential. Otherwise, in terms of the matter that comes to them, but they give it to the board. So their relationship is with the board, not
mm,
with anyone in the organization. That part of is, of course, that's the ombuds concept. But in this thing, I'm telling you, this is very interesting that every hospital can have a maybe on the panel kind of
a
thing.
panel of mediators.
Yes, everyone should have that, because initially, like people have not experienced it. Though maybe initially work going out, let's see how people react. But the other person also has to be able to accept it, because it has to be both the parties accepting it. But I'm
I
just
think
saying, look, we have that concept of communities. If you start with, and people become aware.
I think hospital is one good place to start.
Yes, yes, exactly. So that's what I'm saying. There's so much work. There is so much work available.
So I think our suggestion that you should have a panel of mediators in each hospital. So in every time they have a dispute, they maybe can rotate the mediators, go by way of
Yeah.
rotation, and say, okay, today is Vikram, next day is Guna, and
No,
next day.
no, still no, no. Then also goes against party self-determination. I am saying that
Ah,
everyone's video should not only be the picture. Every mediator that you have on the panel, the video is available for the parties to see. Because I'm telling you, the
mm,
connection with the mediator has to be there. It can't be just a name that okay, so and so is appointed. The people should actually hear them, maybe even have a 5-minute conversation if they have to.
yeah, I
However,
normally have a pre-mediation
yeah,
meeting. I have a pre-mediation meeting, so they get to know me, and if they want to use me, if they don't want to use me, it's okay. And recently, I must tell you, I just want to share with you. I just did one mediation 2 weeks ago, and there were lawyers who came with the clients, and the first remark they made was, during the break was like, this is so different from court mediation. I never expected
you have
mediation
to,
to be like
this
this.
is
There
very
you go.
important. You have to keep saying this. This is the important part we have to say. This is very
Yes.
different from court media. But again,
Yeah.
I think what I'm going to do is now from now on, the word court, if we say, there is a penalty to that. There is, you have to, we
It
can't say
is
court. No, we
very,
don't. Yeah, it is different.
yeah.
It is.
So that was the first thing they remarked. So I was I was like very pleased. So at least I know I'm not one of those court mediators. So I told him, yes, of course, this is how it is done. This is how private mediators practice. And this is why, we hope that they said, oh, we will definitely recommend this to our other.
That's it. That's exactly what I'm saying. That is how word of mouth happens. So
Correct.
people have to experience. Finally, it's about the
Yes.
experience. How do you get
But
them to experience is the important part.
they must have the right experience.
Right
Have
experience.
the wrong experience, then it's just going to give mediation a bad name.
Yeah,
Who's
yeah,
going to
that's
use
there.
it?
So that is why I'm saying, have you identified some good mediators in Malaysia or
Yes, I
anywhere
have.
in the world?
Malaysia, yes, because
Can
I
we
do
have
a
a
lot of.
meeting with them? Let's have a meeting with them. Let's see how we can. It's not like I'm saying, it's not necessary that
Oh,
they have to be doing work in Malaysia. They
I
can be.
will I will introduce you to a group of mediators, who international group who I am affiliated with, and they are all very passionate about mediation. They come from different countries, and very exciting
So
group of
let's do a
people.
meet. Let's do these. Let's have look this meetings that are these international mediators collective meeting and the other various continents, the mediator collectives that I made. The whole idea was this only that people just come together and see.
In our group, we have about mediators from 30 different countries.
That's it. Perfect.
I'm in this group, so we sometimes promote mediation in different ways. Like the other day, they invited me and some of the other mediators to give a talk on mediation for the Swiss and Chinese Law Association. So sometimes there's something happening in Brazil or in Argentina and all this. It's very
So that you're
interesting.
doing exactly what I'm doing, then you're doing all that. Where is
Correct.
the problem? Then everyone is.
Correct.
This is what I wanted. That
Yeah,
everyone should be doing the
I
same
have
thing.
been doing that, yes. And now we are planning, we are in the midst of, actually, I'm in the organizing committee for this ODR ADR competition. It was supposed to be trilingual, it's Spanish, Portuguese, and English. But somehow, because the pandemic is quite bad, I think, in Argentina and Brazil, so now it's been converted to just English. So I'm trying
No,
to look
yeah,
for.
no, you know that in terms of with the pendency of matters in Brazil, how many matters are pending in courts there? Have you any idea?
No,
Just a guess. Just a guess. I told you 40 million in India. Brazil, how many?
maybe 50, 60.
They're saying 150 million.
Oh my
That's what
God,
I
it's
was told.
just an idea.
I had a
No,
session with someone from there was someone from
wow.
Colombia, and the interpreter was from Brazil. We had a little dialogue there, and this is what the figure was, which came out from this person.
Shocking.
That's what I'm saying. That is why these areas are important for people to get into, and there might be numbers in terms of mediators there, but if they also finally end up in the court system, then again the private mediation will not develop. So
It's not developed. It's all the
there
same.
also.
And I've been having chats with some of the other co-mediators, but it's basically similar everywhere. But I think Singapore, it has taken off in a good way,
Okay.
and Australia. Singapore, Australia, US, they are in a different league. They're in a different league.
So are we learning from them, or are we going to find out what mistakes
Singapore
they
is our
made?
neighbor. We've been trying to learn for a long time.
No, but it's a small look. The thing is that okay. I mean, you're saying Singapore on one end, there's US on the other end. In terms of size, size is okay. Maybe that should not be the criteria, but
No,
it's a culture. It's a culture.
it's the culture, it's the mediation culture which we need to inculcate in all these people, and that paradigm mindset shift which
Yes.
people have to take and make
So are
for
you going to?
themselves.
So every week, are you going to have one session with some group of people about about developing a culture of mediation?
I
Yeah,
don't know
that
whether I have the time, like
no,
I don't have the luxury of time which.
you have to look. We are doing it for ourselves also. If you're doing it for the world, we're doing it for ourselves also. If this we create this,
I agree.
like I told you, that we are going to be doing this for our life. So if we are creating a whole culture, it is going to benefit us. So so it's not something that you're doing thinking of it as a pro bono activity. Okay, I will promote mediation. You're doing it for yourself. Just think of it that way, maybe,
Yeah,
because the culture has to develop. Matters will come out. So much work, because you can't do the amount of work that is available. I'm telling you, Gunavathi, you can't.
there is a lot of work out there. You just need to tap the right
That's it.
resources.
That's it.
Yeah.
And it's very easy. And the easiest way is to have one-on-one conversations. That's the easiest way to do it. This whole concept of webinars of large numbers that we are educating people.
Terrible.
I'm telling you, where you will have a discussion and you'll find out that the person has a matter which is right there available to go out for mediation. That's the way I've experienced it. But you have to be able to obviously explain everything to them, what the legal position is, how it works, what is all that. I mean, that is educating. And do you have time to educate on one-on-one basis is what you have to see. So whom you have to talk to initially also is important, because you immediately should also get some work, and then
Yeah, yeah,
that word of mouth that'll spread.
true.
But this was not supposed to be about mediation. We were supposed to have a conversation in general.
What to do?
what what
We are true and true mediators.
No,
That's
I
why.
think I have to stop this one. I can't have this conversation about media. So what is the latest TV series that you're watching? Do you get time for that or not?
Vikram, Vikram. Oh, I just watched Bombay Begums.
Oh, I just finished it. Yeah, last night
Oh
I
dear.
finished that.
Did you enjoy it?
Look, the problem was the makeup. The makeup artist was really bad. I saw all of them. They were caked up in the worst way
Correct.
possible.
Correct.
But ultimately it was about the whole message about sexual harassment that had to go out. So finally it
Yeah.
was about that
It was
message,
a good
which,
message which was sent out. Very good
yeah,
message.
yeah. So
And I
basically
also
everything.
enjoyed Lion, which I watched recently.
Okay,
Have you watched
I'll
that?
try. No,
Oh,
I
that's
haven't seen.
based on a true story, so it's really very touching.
I'll try that. No, well, the thing was that this is because my wife wanted to watch this, so I ended up watching it. And this happened. Most of them finished late night, which I don't have late nights because I have to go for golf in the morning. So my golf was getting affected. Luckily, there only a few episodes there were, and only season one is out. So I'm
Yes.
like saved. Otherwise, I would my whole week would have gone. It's
So
not easy.
you play golf every day?
Yeah, for 5 days a week.
Wow. See,
I,
you have the luxury of playing golf every day.
No, I created that luxury for myself. It's look, this you have to do for yourself. You have to do it for yourself. You can't.
True.
I mean, this is again the mindset issue. This is a mindset thing where how you decide to live your life is your own
Like
choice.
me, I'm a gym person. I must go to the gym in the morning.
That's
So
it. That's it. You just have to have it. And once you keep that process going, then it becomes like an addiction. I would call it. I mean, whatever.
it does become an addiction. So it was a bit difficult during the MCO when I couldn't go to the gym. So, you know,
Yeah.
during lockdown, it was a bit difficult.
But
Then you
were you doing
start,
something at home?
of course, of course.
So yoga. What about you? Can do yoga at
I
home.
do yoga as well, and but I follow some YouTube walking and other strength training and apps and
But what
all that.
about this Tai Chi? Tai Chi? That's called Tai Chi, no? What
Oh,
about?
I yes, they have Tai Chi here. They have Qi Gong. They have Tai Chi. They have different kinds of you know
But have you tried that?
mental mental. But I like yoga, so you
Well,
know.
that's what I did during the lockdown, because only we had a very short period when we were actually in lockdown, because May we opened our golf courses, or at least my golf course opened in May. So, for me
Oh,
that period was short, but in that period I tried yoga, because otherwise, look, I can't do both. I can't do yoga also and play golf also. It will get too much for me. So I tried yoga that period. I think it really helps. It really
yeah,
helps.
it helps. It helps, and also the breathing and
Yeah, pranayam,
all
that part.
the pranayama and all.
Yeah.
So that helps as well.
Mhm.
So
But have you tried some mantra or something? I actually picked up some mantras also to chant. Really
oh,
good. Yeah, yeah, very good. Basically 2 months which I picked up. I mean, you knew those mantras always, but never did that regular chanting. But I've started doing that, and it really helps. But
that's
only thing
really
is, look, you have to get the right pronunciation. So I don't know
yeah.
whether you'll be able to get the right pronunciation or not.
And it's not easy to get the right pronunciation,
Yeah,
but with practice, I'm sure
your father will
you
help you on that.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. My father's very good in it. So
exactly. You have to tell him. I tell him to tell you some months that you can. I mean, because I'm sure there are lots of them. I mean, which you can use for various situations.
yeah, yeah, true.
But
So
otherwise, I think that part of it, pronunciation is a big problem, because there's someone from Brazil also who was telling me about the Gayatri Mantra and how she knows the
oh
Gayatri Mantra. But the problem was the pronunciation. It was an
yeah,
issue.
it's not easy to
No, they say
pronounce.
sometimes, they say actually, if you don't pronounce it properly, it might not be good for you. It might harm you, they say.
Oh, so better
Yeah,
not to.
yeah,
I
that's exactly
well,
what the point is.
well, who knows? All this is man-made anyway. All these rules and
No,
you know.
mantras are not man-made. They say
No, I
mantras are
mean
not
like
man-made.
pronunciation. I'm talking
Yeah,
about the
yeah.
pronunciation.
No, no,
Like
that's it. Look,
like it may not work and all that. Well, It's I don't know who makes all this.
But I just said they're not man-made. Is like I don't know who made them, but
No, what
no,
I'm
I'm just
saying is
no.
not
You
the
what you're saying is
mantras.
okay. But I'm saying
I'm
from
not
my
talking about
side.
the mantras. I'm talking about, if people say, oh, if you don't pronounce it properly, it doesn't work. I mean, that
Yeah,
is man.
yeah. No, 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 no. That I
That is man.
understand. No, I understand. But I'm
That's
saying,
what I'm saying.
were the mantras itself man-made or not? I was just looking at that
Oh,
aspect because
we don't
someone
know.
we have a concept saying this is like divine intervention. That man cannot
Correct.
make these mantras. There is some concept there also.
Yeah.
So we don't know where we got them from.
And who wrote all these mantras down?
That's what I'm saying. That is where the whole there is discussion there. But look, at the end of the day, you've got it. Where it came from, how does it really matter? As long as there's so many of them lying around, we don't use them.
True.
I mean, in terms of our culture, even this whole concept of Ayurveda, I mean,
Yes.
it's something which, okay, commercially, a lot of companies have started do. I mean, they do it and they're at large scale, but it wasn't like that many years back. So we
But
just
it's a
kind of
large
picked up.
scale in India. But even here, it has caught on. A lot of people are there. Are a lot of quite a number of Ayurvedic centers and
Yeah,
quite
no, but
quite quite.
yeah, the one particular company actually grew so much totally because of Ayurveda. The whole
Huh?
concept of Ayurveda. Well, ultimately the thing is that okay, the Ayurveda is something which is okay. There's a pure form of Ayurveda. So obviously only the ingredients that are written there you're using. But definitely when it goes to commercial level, they end up putting chemicals in it.
Yes, definitely.
Because when I read those labels, you find chemicals written there.
So when
So
you, yeah, you really need to look at the fine print,
yeah.
and it's also tiny, so you really need to look at it. What's the
Well,
vaccination situation like?
oh, this is now going to be some the decision to be taken for me. Though it's a decision, I can't decide. I can't decide. What do you think?
Whether
What?
to get the vaccine or not?
Yeah, I don't know whether
What
or
are
not.
your concerns?
I am just thinking that let us wait and watch what the situation pans out. How does it go on? I don't know.
Okay,
Because look, I tell you, there's one particular vaccine. I don't know which one it was. I think it was the Covishield. I think
Covishield.
one of them. Basically,
Mhm.
only now they have changed their whole concept, and they're saying not 4 weeks. The second shot should be between 6 and 8 weeks. So it's
Hmm.
how much time has it been? Only right now it's come out, and already they have looked at these aspects. So the people who got the jab after 4 weeks, obviously they're going to say, "What is the scene now? Are we protected or not protected? What is happening?" I mean,
Covishield is the one, which is the vaccine produced by Bharat?
that is, I think, Covaxin.
Covaxin.
I think
Have they
Covishield
rolled
is the one.
have they rolled it out? Oh, they
I've
have.
I have heard people have taken Covaxin. Some I think the government hospitals I think are giving Covaxin, and the otherwise the other one is the AstraZeneca one, the
Mm.
Covishield I think. But I really haven't been able to decide because look, my wife is diabetic, so that is one reason she should be taking it. She's been telling me we should. Now we have right in our house in the sense, I mean, we have one floor and my daughter stays on the other floor. She has someone with her who's got COVID, who's
Oh
just been
dear.
tested positive. Sunday we were sitting together and having lunch.
Oh my God.
So it's right here. It's there in the house itself.
Oh dear.
So
So
we're
are
not.
they self-isolating now?
Yeah, yeah. Now, no, but that is after you found out you have COVID.
So
Now,
have you gone to test? Have you done a swab test?
no, I'm not getting it done up till no symptom comes out. I'm not going to get it done. My daughter also hasn't got it done. The doctors told her that I think certain number of days later you're supposed to get it done.
She
Don't
has to
get it
come
now.
back for a repeat. Yeah. She
No,
has
no,
to go.
she doesn't have it. This her friend of hers has it.
I see.
So, but they're staying
But
together. They're staying
but you've been
together.
considered, yeah, close contact. Yeah, close
Exactly.
contact.
But the doctor
Hmm.
said don't take it immediate. You don't do the test right now. Take a few days later.
Yeah, because sometimes it doesn't show up so quickly.
So imagine the situation now. I have a diabetic wife in the same. Oh, we're not in the same house in the same. We have different floors, but we were all sitting together and having lunch on Sunday.
Oh dear.
So imagine it's all right. Oh no, why Sunday? We were having it what yesterday only? No, day before yesterday. Monday. Monday was holy out here.
It's
So
actually everywhere. It's in the community, so it's very hard to say who and what. So I don't know. I have registered for my vaccine, but to be vaccinated, but I don't know when we are going to be vaccinated. So
what
it's
is the priority there? I mean, in terms of numbers.
here, of course, the frontliners, the doctors, and they're talking about even considering teachers as frontliners.
Okay.
So they might get next. Of course, the police force, the police. Uh,
But
army.
age-wise, the elderly.
Age-wise, they haven't started. So the second phase, they're finishing with the first phase now. Second phase is supposed to start in 2 weeks' time. It's for, I think, the elderly, about 80s, 70s, and 80s. That group, that age group.
But okay, I
But
shouldn't take
not
this call, should I? Okay, I won't take the call. Mr. Akesania was calling. I'll tell him later. I was in the show. No, but you don't. That means in terms of number of vaccines, because look, we produce so much vaccine for the world, so I think we have large numbers
exactly.
available.
You all have no problems. Ours we are buying. So, you know, if we run short, then we have to wait for the next batch. And I think we ordered late. So we are one of the last few countries to actually get the
But some
vaccine.
obviously some people were criticizing the place where this vaccine is manufactured, that
Of
particular city. They have such, I think, one of the largest number of COVID cases. But
Yeah,
because they are obviously there's rationing in terms of where these vaccines goes, so they are not getting enough in that. They're not giving enough in that city because obviously it's age-wise all over the country. So they're
correct.
looking at that, but it's a little bit of a. I mean, it's really
Yeah.
funny.
But I think India, you all have enough vaccines.
No,
You
but
all have more
still,
than enough.
we have a large population also. We're not a
But
small.
I think you all are used to actually. I was actually watching a video from by a doctor from India, and he explained it very well, and very very beautifully done video. And he explains the different types of vaccines, and he's saying that in India you are used to this mass population being vaccinated. You come up with so many different vaccines. This
Yeah.
is not like the first vaccine you're coming up with. Of course, here we're talking about the speed in which the vaccine has been produced. But you're so used to mass vaccination,
Yeah.
so it's just a matter of rolling it out in the same way.
Yeah, we have the
So
first
he
of all, the
said that,
infrastructure in terms of reaching out to people. We have obviously we have such a. I mean, the elections itself is such a large process. The whole infrastructure, because even when during the COVID thing and all, once you get the whole administration activated, they're used to handling all that. I mean, that's not. I don't think there's any problem in terms of that part. But it's just that because we also want to. Our role in terms of the world, we have to give out the vaccines all over the world also. Otherwise, to keep all of them here, okay, good or bad, I don't know. Maybe so maybe the international thing also is an important part of a country's obligations.
but
So
I think you all have shared the vaccine with quite a number of countries.
yeah.
That's good. Yeah.
So
But
yeah,
I don't think Malaysia has ordered. I don't know. I'm not too
not from
sure.
not
Yeah,
from
because
India.
ours we've gotten the Sinovac from China as well.
Okay, but
That
that's okay.
just yeah. So we've got three different types of vaccine here: the
Which,
Pfizer, the AstraZeneca, and the Sinovac.
so which one are you planning to take? Do you have
We
a
can't
choice?
choose. We can't choose. Can you all choose over there?
No, according to me, what I've heard is that the government hospitals are giving Covaxin. You get the Covishield in the private hospitals, is what I was told. But I haven't look. I haven't. I'm not really convinced right now at this point of time what to
You're
do.
not an anti-vaxxer, are you?
No, I mean, the vaccine has not been a concept because a lot of people. But I mean, I only get to know now that there are people out there who take that flu vaccine. The flu vaccine is a concept which I was not even aware of, that you're supposed people do take it. I
Yeah.
never heard of people taking flu vaccine. Flu
I
vaccine
have
now.
I have taken before because before I travel, the doctor says, "Oh, it's good that you take it. You take," it. And I felt so sick after taking the flu vaccine. So I've taken it like maybe twice. Then I told myself I'm not going to take it anymore. I
That's what I.
refuse to take it.
So that's what I'm saying. Maybe I'm just uneducated. That's what maybe I'm with that kind of person. Haven't looked at this aspect at all. Now suddenly, because these discussions have started, then I hear from some people, not from everyone. Some people tell me, yes, I do take it every year and all. So it's
Yeah,
like
yeah, I have
new.
friends who take it every year.
So that's what I'm saying.
No,
If
but
you,
my concern is if we don't take this particular vaccine, what if they come up with this vaccine passport and then you
yeah,
can't
yeah,
travel?
yeah. That's I think that's what's going to happen when it's really
Yeah. So
required for traveling. Yes.
for me, because I love to travel, so I, I think for that reason alone, I will take it. I will take the
Yeah.
vaccine.
No, I think
Yeah.
that might even happen for travel within India. Who knows? Because we have
Yes.
different
And
states can take that
and
decision.
what if they say, yeah, you can't cross borders or
Yeah,
states? And then what if they say that you can't enter certain premises if you're not vaccinated?
yeah. That's
Maybe.
look, right now they won't
What
say
if they
that
say,
because
okay, I'm just playing the devil's advocate here. What if they say that You can't go to the golf courses if you are
I'm
not.
right there and then out then my God, I'm just standing in line immediately. Look, that's the only lucky thing that I have, that golf at least is not considered
But
one of those sports where there can be risk. Otherwise, definitely there would have been an issue.
no, in Malaysia, there were quite a number of golf courses where they had clusters of COVID cases.
Yeah.
Yes, in the golf
With the caddies, must be the
caddies,
caddies.
yes, and then
Yeah.
it passed on to the members as well. So quite a number of the golf courses were closed for a short while because of the clusters
Yeah.
which were created by the caddies. You're
No,
right.
here what the advantage was that initially in May when they opened, the people were not taking caddies. So a lot of trolleys got sold during that period. Everyone picked up a
Oh, really?
trolley. Yeah, a
But
lot
can
of
you all
people.
use the buggies and all that? You
Not
can use.
buggies. Not we don't have. I mean, people don't normally use the buggies. They take their own trolleys. A lot of people started doing it, but obviously now they've gone back to caddies. But that
Back to their
period,
old ways.
yeah, there was actually that period where lots of caddies. I mean, a lot of trolleys were sold, and actually the shops did not have them. They went out of stock. So
No?
I think so that way, I think in terms of the golf course, maybe it was a little safer because of that, but now it's back to normal. It's totally normal, and it is an issue. Definitely, it's an issue because no one takes precautions.
But
There's no
are people wearing masks and all that in India?
I know. I mean, it's not really. I mean, it's okay. There is a mask on the face somewhere. Yes, it's somewhere there. Sometimes under the chin,
Oh
sometimes
my
wherever.
God. So it's not really, here they're quite strict about us wearing the mask. So we can't,
Over the nose. Oh, are they?
no, no, they're quite strict. I
No,
mean,
no,
of course,
no.
some people wear it under the chin and stuff like that. But generally, what I've noticed is people are quite, obedient, and they have been complying. And they've recently they used to fine, the penalty was 1,500. Now they've upped it to 10,000 ringgit
Very good.
if you do not wear the mask. So
No, but
people
does
are
the
a bit wary.
but are they implementing it or is it just on paper?
They have been implementing it, but I do not know how well it is being implemented. As usual, always enforcement is a big problem everywhere.
Oh,
But
I hope it's not
some
another
people have,
source of bribes. Is it
yeah,
another source of bribes? Is it?
yeah. So it's hard to say, Vikram, because I mean, sometimes they have double standards as well. And, we've had complaints that, how come ministers can do this, and, some VVIPs and VIPs can flout the law and, get away with it. But, the poor man on the street is fined 10,000 ringgit for this, and I
I
can't
know, I
afford
know.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Well, this is look, you having this discussion, you telling me about COVID and all that. I actually have not been reading the news at all for months now. I don't even know what's happening. I hear about some parts of India, things are quite bad. And in Delhi also, they were looking at some kind of a night curfew concept or something. But I actually don't know the numbers. Because I decided, look, you have to take the precautions. You'll have to take the precautions. This
yes.
whole concept of having, I mean, first of all, going into indoor spaces, air conditioned spaces totally to be avoided. For me,
Mm,
that whole going out to the golf course is all open in the open. There's no concept of any indoor space there. And you come back and do your work online. Don't even think of anything for some time. This is the way it's going to be. And then after that, you don't, because the point is that reading those figures every day. Earlier, it used to be every day. What
yeah.
numbers now, what cases, what deaths, everything. And you had the
Because
statistics of the
when
world you were looking
lockdown,
at.
we had nothing else to do. Yeah. But
No, no,
at
without,
least you started something
yeah, exactly.
cool.
For me, that was really, really good. Because
Very
I'm
good.
telling you that look, the period I'm telling you, end of 2019 is when I decided. Although it came from the fact that the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court is trying to push mediation, and according to me, the court one is not the right way to push it. But I said at least the discussion on the subject will happen, which
Yeah.
happened. So, and then the lockdown happened, and this was a good opportunity to first of all look. You were able to listen to people from all over the world, which
Yes.
otherwise you could have only done in seminars and conferences somewhere.
And
This
it's
would
too expensive. We wouldn't have probably
no, no,
flown there,
absolutely,
because
absolutely.
we have to fly to all these places.
Absolutely,
And,
that
and,
opportunity would not be there.
and many people have actually benefited from this webinars and seminars. You
Yeah, yeah.
know, they've heard people from all over the world who have participated in all these webinars and seminars.
Yeah.
So,
And the good part was that because they were all free, they could have gone into it's right from the beginning. Let's
yeah,
have paid ones, but luckily that didn't happen.
Correct.
Everyone, because look, point was, according to me,
Fortunately,
how I understood was that obviously these people were now stuck at home, and they're all used to giving lectures and all in general. So now
yes,
this was at least that opportunities that was keeping them sane also. It's
correct.
important. It's important to be interacting with people.
For the mind to be active.
Yeah. So I think for it worked for them in that sense. It worked for the people who were listening.
It's
So
win-win.
win,
Win-win.
win, win, total win, win, win. Done.
Win-win.
But give some suggestions. What else? First, we have conversations with communities. We're going to start that process of all
Yeah.
kinds, business communities, neighborhood, and all. So that anything else interesting that we need to do?
I think for now we need to zoom in on just certain communities, not too many. And then,
No, no, I'm just saying for taking examples, because the point is, look, we can't go out and do it everywhere. There have to
yeah,
be people
we can,
involved. But to
correct.
tell them what to do, at least to have, okay, we've tried it, discussed it with these people, and it works in this manner. I'm
Yeah.
telling you, this one-to-one kind of communication really helps.
I think
Because
we can tackle the schools for peer mediation.
look, a
And
school,
then,
I told you, look, I told, I don't know whether I told you, but this one particular school that where I was talking to, he's
mhm.
spoken to some school where,
Yes, yes, yes.
as an
Vidya Spati.
example, yeah, as an example, one school to get lets you in, you talk to the students, and you explain to them that this is what mediation is. Just
Mhm,
nothing more than that. After that,
mhm,
they have to do what they have to do, the
correct.
identification. And also, if you can take one example from every country, so if you can identify one school in Malaysia, the one that Wafa and Shiri had organized from, there was a
Mm.
school in Malacca. They picked
Oh,
up, yeah. So I mean, that was a good example. Those kids were smart kids. I mean, smart
yeah,
kids.
yeah.
So we can talk to
Maybe
those
I can
kids.
follow up with them.
Yeah.
I'll
So I
follow up
think
with.
that just one school, I'm telling you, one school as an example is good enough. Then after that, just snippets, one small video of these kids telling us
Mm.
of their experience. Totally kids talking about their own experiences, and that gets circulated. So then after that, it is now a social media thing.
Yeah.
So I
Once
think
it's
school,
viral, yeah, once that goes viral, then
yeah. So
it's
school one, I think I kind of have figured out this is the way to go about it.
then the community thing, the community mediations.
Yeah. So
That's
one community, just one community, your own neighborhood community. Because I'll tell you why our own neighborhood sometimes doesn't work is because obviously the same thing that you are part of the community, then does a person really listen to you? Same thing
mm.
like I told you, if you give free advice to anyone, is it really taken? So sometimes I think you're better off in another community.
Yeah. But in this my community where I live in, it's we have a chat group which is quite interesting because quite
Is it a
everybody's quite
is
yeah.
it a
So they have
positive kind of group, or is it a negative kind of group?
or they have two groups. One is only to post
Imagine this is exactly what is happening here. Exactly the same
information.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And the other one, they call it a chit chat group. So, it comes up with all this good morning and all
No,
this
is there any negative discussions happening
yeah,
there?
and all the negative discussions and all are weeded out to that. So the group administrator for the actual one, which talks about, or if there's a water cut or, a robbery or theft or something like
Yeah.
that.
So, okay.
So that one is the serious group. So that group actually makes sense, and the group admin actually
No, but
weeds out
is it
all.
part of some? Do you have some kind of an elected body or something like that? Or
Yes,
is,
yes, and they have their AGMs, and
so
then
this is that group. This group is
yes, and
made
they
by
and
them.
they elect a president,
Hmm.
secretary. They have the whole works. So
So
this kind of community, you can have community mediation. And
yeah,
in
exactly.
Malaysia, they used to have what we call the rukun tetangga. Rukun tetangga basically it's Malay, rukun tetangga. So basically, it is community, uh, like a community gathering. So in every neighborhood, what they used to have was a night watch. So they had like a leader, and this leader will invite people to come to him to discuss about all the neighborhood problems in that community, in that neighborhood. And what they used to do in the past was to eradicate theft and robbery and all that. They used to group at night, the men, and sometimes even ladies used to join, and they do their night walks with their sticks and their torchlights, and they go around It's a very interesting concept, but now it's sort of died off. But they used to have this, and and the leader, like let's say they have problems in the neighborhood, they used to go to this leader. So this leader is actually a mediator.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. But
Yeah.
as long as he was a mediator, not giving decisions,
And
that
yeah,
was.
so he used to play the role of a mediator. It's like your panchayats in your
No, it
village.
is not. This is I would have to keep educating people that the
Are they not the
panchayat
same?
also is the ombudsman of our insurance and banking ombudsman. They
Ah,
try and settle up to a point. After that, the panchayat gives its decision, and people always keep repeating the Indian panchayat. The fact is that is
ah.
also an ombudsman of the kind that we've implemented in India. Maybe we got a concept from there that we need to have something like
I
that.
think the concept originates from there.
No, no.
But
If it was no, look, it was not right to say that because always when in Hindi, okay, I'll say it in Hindi, then I'll translate it.
okay,
Panchayat ka faisla. It
what
means
does it
the
mean?
decision of the panchayat. So to
Oh,
even
so
say,
okay,
so even to say
okay,
that it is a
okay.
mediation
Now
concept, it
I
goes
understand.
totally goes wrong. But it is very nice to in webinars and all to say it is part of our culture and everything like that.
Yes,
It is very
yes,
nice to say so, but it is a problem in that sense. No one really gives the right version of it. But this is how it is gone. If you go watch one of our movies, on the bottom and you will maybe in
yes.
the subtitles you can read, maybe they will translate that Panchayat ka Faisla. It comes out in a lot of movies. Panchayat ka Faisla is this
The decision of the panchayat.
decision of the Panchayat.
Thank you for educating me.
Yeah. No, wait, I actually heard this a lot. And that's why I don't even all these webinars and all to go there and speak also. That's why I don't do. I created my own platform because I just feel a lot of discussions happen and they just go around getting circulated and all. But some of them are not factually correct. Like saying that there is no law in India on mediation. Those kind of such statements. You can't keep arguing with people. I mean, you waste your time arguing with people on these issues. That's why I said I will create my own platform. I will look. It is my view. That's my view. Like everyone is giving their view, I'm giving my view. But only thing is, I'm giving it on my platform. That's the only
You are
difference.
entitled to do so.
Exactly. And I can give it to whoever I want to. If the other person wants to take it or not take it, it's up to them.
Correct. If they're interested, they come. If they are not, then
So, okay, so now it's done. Your one community, your community, you're going to have you told them about mediation?
not yet.
So immediately one message will go out now that I'm doing this Zoom session. Please come and I will talk about mediation.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
It
Thank
has to
you.
be done. One that the other is Wafa and Shri you will speak to and that one school.
Yeah,
If you want
I'll do.
me to
I'll
be
do that.
part of that, that's I mean I'm really not required. You know exactly. But the concept being that no at no point are you in terms of how do you do mediation, we are not telling them. What
Yeah,
we
yeah.
are actually going to learn from them. So just telling them
Well,
what the concept is that there is one third person whom you can go to. That person will you identify the person. So we are going into party self-determination concept right from the beginning. That is the culture you have to develop. That you yourself appoint the person and you yourself actually settle it on your terms. Both those aspects, if you have to develop the culture properly, it has to go that way. Otherwise, you can say, okay, the principal or the teacher has appointed so and so as mediators. They'll go
correct.
totally against the concept. So the whole this whole panel thing, that panel is available. Children identify those people who go on the panel.
Let
So
the children themselves decide.
they identify, they put it on the panel. So one school, one community. Anything else on what workplace? One workplace.
That's
Some organization can you speak to? Any
organization.
organization,
Uh,
decent size organization. Tell them about the whole concept of resident mediator. What I'll do is there is this Ombuds Association, the International Ombuds Association or something. I've got their leaflet. I'll send that to you. They've put the concept there very nicely. So you
mm,
can have a look at that. That can be circulated also. That this is what the
sure.
concept is. It gives a good explanation of that. So I can send you that. So one workplace done. Workplace, community, and the school. And only five people from some whatever in companies who are legal heads or something, just have those conversations with them. Five people. Tell me also because then I'll see whether my experience and your experience match. Because when I've spoken to people here, they be very receptive, very
Oh,
receptive.
that's very good.
But you have to speak to the legal heads. They because those people they are they can appreciate the value of it. not
True.
generally. I mean, people, I mean, the general councils and all kind of understand the issue. So you're going to do all that.
Yes,
Look,
yes.
I told you that my whole concept of 1,000 into 1,000. I have to have my 1,000 doing this. You are part of that 1,000. You get your 1,000. We have a million, 1 million
True,
mediators out there.
it's not so simple.
It is. It is. I'm telling you, 1 plus 1 plus 1 goes to 1,000.
Let's hope so, Vikram.
It does. I to try it. You just keep
Let's
adding
hope
one
so.
plus one plus one.
And I know I will pass the word around to all my fellow mediators as well.
No, no, you can just get them together and tell them. I think one by one, like I'm having a conversation with you, you will have with your 1,000. We'll make a million, and maybe it takes 5 years, but we'll get a million.
Let's hope so. Anyway, thank you very much for inviting me to have this conversation with you.
No,
We
thank you
had a
very much for
very
coming.
interesting
That's
conversation.
yeah,
So I'm sure we'll have many more conversations
absolutely. That's the
in the
nicest thing to
future.
say. Or we have to have more conversations.
Yeah, yes. To exchange ideas and share our experiences.
I'll organize another of those peer mediation ones. We'll have
Sure.
one of those.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you very much,
All
Vikram.
right. Thank you, Gunavathi.
Right.
You have to end the meeting. You have to leave
Good
the
night.
meeting. I'm not going to end the
All
meeting. You have
right.
to leave
Thank
it.
you so much. Bye
All
bye.
right. Bye. Bye.